What's going on, everyone? Scotty Wilder World Combat Sports. It's fight week. Buckle up and let's get it. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, Vegas is lit right now. It's a lot going on. The fighters are currently in their open workouts. So we're going to talk about some of the main fights that's on the card. That should fix that. I don't know. Sometimes the mic doesn't work. Hello, everyone, for tuning in. Scotty Wilder World Combat Sports. Appreciate Deion Washington for dropping through. And everyone who's tuned in for this big fight this weekend. Deontay Wilder going in for his 11th defense against Tyson Fury. The two has already fought. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the controversy is all about. It ended in a draw. So the fight fans want to see it all over again. They fought in December 2018. You know what happened. It went to a split draw. Now, Deontay Wilder, after having, a little bit of time away from Tyson Fury, because Fury didn't want the immediate rematch, both of them returned for an epic rematch in Las Vegas, February 22nd, this weekend. Deion said, Tuscaloosa, Alabama in the building. Can't believe Tim Bradley took Wilder. Hey, I want to give a shout out because somehow, with the weather over here, I didn't have volume earlier, but I want to give a shout out to the Bomb Squad team that's over there in Tuscaloosa and all the fans that's over there. I know it's a big deal having a champion in your backyard. Deion Washington, he was a classmate of Deontay Wilder. It's epic. It's very surreal for some people. They may not take it as that right now, but the man is creating history. The man is setting his bar He go in there and he would separate himself from those his compeers like Ali for his 11th title defense. So that's what a lot of people is looking forward to. They want to see if Tyson Fury switching trainers is all it's set out to be. They want to see if the mistakes that he believed he made first time around, that both fighters will be able to correct it. Tyson Fury believes in, whatever his mind is telling him about the trainers, the way he went about the fight. He may have could have did more. I don't know. All I can tell you is that, both of them went in there and tried to defeat one another. Tyson Fury was supposed to be the better boxer. He did throw some very solid combinations, but Deontay Wilder threw the most punches. And we all can agree that Wilder did miss a lot in the first fight. And come to find out, he had an injury before the fight, which no one really knew about. He didn't say too much about the broken hand or the broken arm. He wasn't throwing his right hand too much in training camp leading up to their first fight. But as a warrior, he went in there and took the fight anyway against a top tier opponent, former unified champion, Tyson Fury. And he went 12 rounds and knocking him down twice in the fight. If you looked at the interview that I did with Jack Reese, I had to ask him about that particular fight. That wasn't the first time that we talked about it. I actually had the opportunity to speak to him while he was down here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I decided not to record it because he was around one of his colleagues. This time, when the fight was in Nashville, I was on the stomping grounds in Nashville, I was going to get it. I said, I got to get it because I really wanted to know. And if you look in the interview, I did explain to Jack Reese what I thought about the fight. I told him I thought it was a long count. If you listen to the interview, I had to tell him I thought it was a long count. I know there's video out there and everything else with people saying that I'm not looking at that timekeeper, like that time, that displays the time on the video. I'm not looking at that. I'm going off the ringside timekeeper when a fighter is considered down and when a referee picks up the count and what happens after that. All the way up to the point where Tyson Fury, both soles of his feet was on the ground and his glove was up. And it does seem like it was at 9, but we all know that if you really want to count the 9, it can be 15. It just depends on how you go about doing it, how you go about making the count happen. And I just told him, he took it well. He was like, "Oh, you did?" He was kind of shocked because we always been cordial. And as a referee, he has a lot to deal with. And I just feel like, when I told him that, he had heard it so much that, I'm happy he was professional about explaining himself to me. He explained what happened, and also off camera, we actually went over some video because, I just wanted some more detail about it. And I kind of believe that Jack Reese didn't intentionally be biased towards one of the other fighter. I just think in the moment, I had to ask him about the count, which he said it wasn't a long count, and what he meant by the spirit of the law. I said, I just didn't understand, nor have I heard any other referee speak about the spirit of the law when it came to boxing. And his answer to me was common sense. He said that Tyson Fury was laying on his back with his leg up. Therefore, common sense tells him that he wasn't totally knocked out. Now, if I ask Dion or anybody else is tuned in, we're like, okay, did he look like he was knocked out? Was his eyes in the back of the head? Is that what you've seen from the camera's view? And a lot of people would say, yeah. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say, yeah, it seemed like he was knocked out. But to Jack Reese, he felt Tyson Fury was still mechanically competent with one leg up, and he wasn't totally knocked out. Therefore, common sense, he said he gave him an opportunity. He gave him an opportunity. That, you know, with the count, he used better judgment to give him a full count and give him the opportunity. And I can understand where Jack Reese was coming from a little bit, but I still told him I thought the count was long. You know, that's all I can say about that. Now, for Deion Washington, he said, can't believe Tim Bradley took Wilder. Hey, we all know Tim Bradley, 1 minute he can take Wilder, and then during the fight, he can do like, you know, change lanes like Teddy Atlas did when he was in there with Luis Ortiz, saying, you know, Deontay Wilder flaws is showing. And then that's when Deontay knocked him out the next round. It was just so funny because I was kind of listening to the telecast on my phone and taking pictures at the same time. So I'm kind of listening to certain things and looking on social media. And Teddy Atlas, I think he said that around the 6th round, 5th to 6th round. It might have been a 6th. And then Deontay Wilder knocked out Luis Ortiz in the 7th. But it just goes to show you, man, how boxing is. Timothy Bradley, man, he is who he is. I respect him as a fighter. I respect some of what he says as a commentator. The reason being because I seen him in person. I seen him talk the sport of boxing in person, face to face. The man knows a lot about the sport. He has been known to say some controversial stuff lately. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that fight, man. You know, I really am. Tyson Fury is, you know, 29-0-1. And forget the knockouts. He has to really come over here and have a solid game plan against Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is going to have to basically be good on the inside, and he's going to have to be excellent on the outside. Tyson Fury, for him to win this fight, he's going to have to land those combinations when he's in close. You know what I'm saying? I truly think Tyson Fury is going to get inside of Deontay's range and try to box him on the inside this time. Because a lot of what people were saying was Deontay Wilder cannot box on the inside. He cannot land combinations on the inside. And I believe Tyson Fury found out that that wasn't necessarily as easy as it sounds. I'm just being honest. Tyson Fury got in the bout. You know, he was able to get off on some combinations. And even when Deontay Wilder was coming forward and he was missing, he was still keeping Tyson Fury honest about not coming in with the range of that right hand or his combinations, period. He kept him honest. He demanded his respect. And granted, look, Tyson Fury hasn't been in the ring with Deontay Wilder. That was the first time. So for Tyson Fury to have that much respect, not to be on the inside as much as he thought he could be, that says a lot about his understanding of how hard Deontay Wilder punched. This time around, I do believe Tyson Fury may think that he can get on the inside and try to box Deontay with some dirty boxing, try to work on the inside a little bit more, try to wear the Bronze Bomber down. For Deontay Wilder, the fans really want to see him box on the inside. But at this point of stage of his career, we didn't need to see him box on the inside, because he's been knocking cats to sleep. We haven't really desired it because his highlight reels are all at a distance on the end of his right hand and left. You know what I'm saying? That's what we've seen. All his opponents has been down. You know what I'm saying? All 42 of them. So guess what? Whatever strategy either fighter has, it's all about who stays consistent, who disrupt the rhythm and the comfort of their opponent, and who's the better fighter when it comes to just packing away rounds, landing the more effective shots. We know the pluses and minuses of both fighters. We know it. We know Deontay Wilder can he has a jab, and when he wants to throw it, we know he can use combinations when he wants to. He just has to stay tight down the middle, straight down the center. Tyson Fury, he's been known to throw solid combinations. When he gets within the range, right in front of Deontay, he lands some pretty solid combinations, man. That's going to be very important this time around, because if Tyson Fury is able to go in there and score those early rounds and be effective enough for the judges to think, okay, he's doing damage, he's having the best work, they may indeed give Fury some of those early rounds if he looked like the more productive fighter. You know what I'm saying? So both fighters are gonna have to be on their A game, period. I don't see this being an easy fight, but on the other hand, I don't see it going the distance. I really don't see it going the distance. You know, Wilder, with his skill set, has an underrated ring IQ. You do not have 42 victories with no ring IQ. You know what I'm saying? You don't. And for Tyson Fury to be 29-0-1, he's a smart boxer too. Has extensive DNA lineage. So we're going to see how it works, man. Dion said, I hope Kenny Bayless stopped Fury with that illegal jab. You know, I believe the fight in itself may be it will be aggressive, okay? But the only thing I can say about Tyson Fury is I don't consider him a dirty fighter. I don't consider Deontay Wilder a dirty fighter. When your opponent is barely conscious during the fight, it's no time to really be dirty, right? But when it comes to Tyson Fury did what he had to do. You know, when he fought Safari, you know, Pianetta, Schwartz, and Wallen, the only time he really experienced something dirty was when Otto Wallen tried to rub his glove up against that cut on the right side of Tyson Fury's eye. And even then, Tyson Fury was like to the referee, hey, look what he's doing. You know, look what he's doing, you know. But I don't think it's going to be a dirty fight, but I do believe it's going to be aggressive early. I do believe it's going to be fireworks, explosions. It's going to be overly offensive. And that's what the people come to see. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot of people there. Yeah, but that's what we're looking for right there, man. I got to move on to the next one. I want to really speak about Emmanuel Navarette, who's facing jail Santisima. Look, this is a fighter that I've been following for quite some time. I don't talk about him much, but I have followed Navarette for quite some time. He's one of the best fighters you may not know about if you're a casual boxing fan. You know what I'm saying? Navarette, man, is a beast. He's a two-handed mercenary, man, when it comes to boxing. Navarette, check this out. The man is the absolute truth. Believe me when I say that. He only has one freaking defeat, which came, I believe it came in his 6th professional fight. When he first started boxing, he was at flyweight. Then he moved to, I believe, featherweight. Now he's fighting at super bantamweight. Man, the dude is the truth. Came in the sport February 2012, and he was only 17 years old, y'all. Dude is a freaking beast. From the time he lost a unanimous decision, okay, his only loss in his record, he went on a winning streak, and I think within 7.5 years, it took him to step on stage for his first title fight. And we all know what happened. He stepped in there in December 2018 against Isaac Dogboe. Mijo. Man, give it up for Isaac Dogboe, man. We're talking about a scrappy, in your chest, bully type of fighter who ran into another fighter who fights the same way. But technically, he's much more sound than Isaac Dogboe. He's able to make more changes that benefit the game. You know what I'm saying? Navarrette's changes benefited him against Dogboe, who really didn't make no change. He kept coming forward, and Navarrete was cutting the angles. He was shooting different uppercuts and hooks to the body on Dogboe. He was using his momentum, all his aggression against it. And Dogboe is a tough fighter, man. He went the distance with Navarrete the first time, and he lost his belt though, because clearly when you're talking about 116, 112, 115, 113, 116, 112, that seems like it was a pretty close fight, right? But when you look at the fight, it's no way that you say, man, that was that close. How can that fight be that close? Navarrete was giving Isaac Dogboe the business. But I give it up to Isaac Dogboe, man. Very tough, durable, resilient fighter who come from a tribe, that has that honor code, that creed. You know what I'm saying? He has a different type of mentality when he heading into battle. That was December 2018. So it took about 5 months for Isaac Dogboe to return. He returned around May 2019. I remember doing a live about this, and I was saying to myself, I said, I don't think Isaac Dogboe is ready. I don't think he's ready to come back yet. It's been too soon for the punishment that he's taken. You got to think about it. He wore the fight. Then you have to think post-fight, his face is going to get worse, and he has to go through the recovery process. Then let his body heal to get back in the gym. So in May of 2019, he stepped back in there against Emmanuel Navarrete again. This time, Isaac Dogboe is 20-1. When they initially fought, he was 20-0. Navarrete took that away. So they step in there, and to everyone's disbelief, Isaac Dogboe pretty much had the same fight plan as he did the first time around. It was senseless to me. Now, Dogboe is a solid, respectable fighter. Understand me on this. But him stepping back in there with a fighter like Navarrete in a 5 months time without a game plan that's really, that differs from the first loss he took, but just coming up with some solid components to make it more difficult for Navarrete to earn the advantage. He didn't do it. And guess what? Navarrete ended up stopping him in the 12th round. So, Isaac Dogboe ended up losing another tough fight. And, I was like, a lot of us who's watching that fight, we was like, please, stop the fight, because Dogboe is taking some punishment. And the fight was stopped. And it was good. It was a good stoppage. I'm not going to lie. It was a good stoppage. So after that, 3 months later, Emmanuel Navarrete, he steps in the ring in August 2019, against Francisco de Vaca. Francisco de Vaca was 20-0 too. He was 20-0, undefeated like Isaac Dogboe was, right? He stepped in there with Emmanuel Navarrete and got stopped in the 3rd round. Took his O2. He took Isaac Dogboe's O, and then he went in there and took Francisco de Vaca O2. Stopped him in 3 rounds. And then next he stepped in there with, I believe his name was Luis Elorde. Luis Elorde, man, 28-1. I think his only loss came with his 11th fight in his professional career, I believe. And he got stopped in the fourth round, man. 28-1, stopped in the 4th round. Now check this out. Navarrete, he's not that old. He's fighting guys around his age. Right now, he's 25 years old, but he's fighting guys around his age and going in there and stopping them. So he went in there in August and defeated Francisco de Vaca, right? And then turn around in September. Look, a month later, August, September, and stepped in there against Luis Elorde, 28-1, stopped him in 4 rounds. Then returned back in December 2019 against Francisco, I think his name was Horta, Francisco Horta. I think with a record like 20-3, I believe. None of those losses were by knockout. So when he stepped in there against Emmanuel Navarette, he faced his first stoppage, knocked out in the 4th round. These are solid opponents that Emmanuel Navarette is facing, and he's doing it with ease. He stepped in there against De Vaca, August 2019, then stepped in there, look, September against Luis Elorde, and then Francisco Horta in December 2019. All those 3 opponents were solid opponents. Now he's stepping in there with Leo Santisima, who I believe is 19-2. His 2 losses was his first fight and his 6th fight, I believe, from Leo Santisima. That's who he's facing this weekend. A Filipino fighter, orthodox. Navarette, you know, shouldn't have a problem with any fighter, southpaw or orthodox. But he's facing a fighter who's 19-2, man. It should be interesting. You know, when the Filipinos step to the ring, they bring a whole country, just like the Mexicans. They bring their Mexican fan base. And that's what we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at another grand affair, seeing Emmanuel Navarette stepping there against Leo Santisima, and it should be a very exciting fight. You know what I'm saying? He is absolutely a beast. We're talking about someone who started boxing February 2012, y'all. February 2012. Let's look at this. From his check this out. From his last unanimous decision, I think it was against Martin Castillo, right? After that, you put in the total of his 14 fights. He's 13-1, 13 knockouts to 1 decision. And you know what that decision came? Isaac Dogboe. Besides that, he has 13 freaking knockouts to 1 unanimous decision out of his 14 fights leading up to this. Dude is a beast, man. You know, salute to Emmanuel Navarette, man, getting it done the right way. He's the truth. He's the WBO super bantamweight champion. He is a beast. Moving on, Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora, you know what it is. You remember when he stepped in there with Donnie Marshall from Buffalo, New York? The reason why I know this fight so well, hold on for a second. Okay, back what I was saying. Sebastian Fundora, the dude is extremely a boxing empire. When I say empire state building, this dude is extremely tall. Sebastian Fundora, when you see him fight for his lankiness, his long range, his height advantage, he is unbelievably skilled as a fighter that tall to fight on the inside. He can do it. When he stepped in there with Donnie Marshall, who was 10-0 at the time, he was stepping up in competition to face Sebastian Fundora. This was a step-up competition that happened between 2 guys who was well-schooled in boxing that can fight, and he stopped Donnie Marshall in 3 rounds. Now, it wasn't because of Donnie Marshall not being able to box. It's just Fundora is just very accurate and punctual as a tall fighter. This dude can fight on the inside, outside. It does not matter. And he's extremely tough. So let's change over to the last fight. You know, Sebastian Fundora is 13-0, undefeated, right? So we look at the fight that he came in there with a 14-1 Jamonte Clark out of Cincinnati. Shout out to the Cincy fighters that was just over there in Nashville. Rashid, Baby Pitt Warren, Wild Promotion. Salute to y'all. He got the win. Jamonte Clark came in there, and I remember, talking about this fight. I say, man, this is going to be one of those fights where Jamonte Clark has the type of style to give Sebastian Fundora some issues because he actually knows how to box. He's a very slick, stylistic fighter. And that's exactly what happened. Fundora wasn't able to get comfortable. When he was on the inside, I like how freaking Jamonte Clark was exiting out, pivoting, and punching on the way out. He just didn't pivot to get out the way. He was throwing shots while exiting. When it was time for him to shoot off and get off his combinations on the inside, he did it just enough so he wouldn't stay in there too long because, like I said, Fundora can actually box on the inside. Now, there was some times where Fundora had his pockets of success against Jamonte Clark. Absolutely. But majority of the fight, with the way Jamonte Clark was throwing his combinations, keeping proper distance, using extremely solid footwork against a taller, rangier fighter in Fundora, it was a beautiful bout. It's one of those fights you can go back and watch. Watch the fight between Jamonte Clark and Sebastian Fundora. Watch that fight, and you tell me who won. You tell me who won. There's no way that I can sit up here at no given time and say, you know what? Sebastian Fundora won that fight. And I'm a fan of Sebastian Fundora before he stepped in there with Jamonte Clark. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this dude is a freak of nature. Did you happen to see the fighter's arrival? Did you see how much of a height differential that he has against Daniel Lewis? Can you fathom what you're looking at? This is like, seriously, this is like a kid, a height that you were when you was going into freaking preteens or whatever. You still in the younger youth days, and you run into that kid who's already in high school, star basketball player, whatever the case, doing the high jump, whatever. Sebastian Fundora, man, you cannot fathom, a little bit of him being that tall and making this weight. You know what I'm saying? You look at his opponent. How can both of these guys be in the same weight class? But Daniel Lewis has a tall task. And, I'm not trying to use wordplay, but he has a very tall task this weekend. I don't see this fight. And me being World Combat Sports, right? I got to give it to you just a different way. I'm kind of disappointed in Sebastian Fundora. The reason being, Jamonte Clark was 14-1 when he stepped in there, right? And then, you had Donnie Marshall, who was 10-0. Then before that, you had very experienced fighters. They had some fights, like 20 plus fights on the resume. What I don't understand is, why is Fundora on a card of this magnitude, people? Card of this magnitude. Why is he fighting a fighter who's 6-0? Why are you leveling down in your competition on a card of this magnitude? It just makes no sense to me. But as I was saying about Sebastian Fundora, leveling down in competition, 6-0, I really don't know why he's stepping down in competition, to be honest. Hey, D Hodges, salute, man. I didn't see you in the building, man. Hey, thanks for dropping through all the way. He said, "What's up, World Combat Sports in chat?" The LDBC salute. Hey, appreciate dropping through, you and Dion, no doubt about it. But you know, I just don't understand the selection process for a fighter that's so extremely talented like Sebastian Fundora. He is a very talented fighter. He is. And for him to be stepping down to a fighter that's 6-0, it really makes no sense to me that why he would be doing that. Seriously. Like, you're coming off Donnie Marshall, who was working his way up through the ranks, undefeated, 10-0, and can box. Then you step in there against a 14-1. Jamonte Clark just freaking gave him a different look for the entire fight. He never stayed stationary. He really worked Fundora the right way with his combinations. He just didn't settle. It was no point in time in the fight where you saw Jamonte Clark just reclining back, selling on the ropes. You know what I'm saying? Because he was tired, or, you know, he didn't have nothing else to make adjustments with. You know, it seemed like he was giving up on a fighter like Fundora, who just kept on pressuring. And no, he showed he's a very smart fighter. You know what I'm saying? And I think hands down he won that fight. But he is fighting this weekend against what I consider a marginal opponent, 6-0. It doesn't cut it. It doesn't slice the pie that we're looking for on the Vegas night of boxing on a stage of this magnitude. It's just not something that make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna leave it right there. You know, I would have liked to ask him that. You know, they having open workouts right now. I definitely, you know, would have liked to ask him why he's stepping down in opponents. You know, you can't really give us that, oh, he's a professional fighter. Look at his rank. Look where he's ranked in the division. Look at his experience. 6-0, damn near, you should have just picked a debut guy, a guy that was debuting. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just coming up here facing somebody like that. While I'm at it, I want to give a shout out to freaking, you know, Team Hernandez Boxing over there in Pensacola, Florida. He's a fighter that's trained by Roy Jones Jr., man. Hey, he's been at the game for a minute now, working his way up through the ranks. But, you know, he sent me this shirt, which has the flag on it. He support the U.S. veterans, you know, put the names on there, the veterans that he support. He sent me some the gear, and I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Luis Hernandez over there in Pensacola, Florida, you know, training at Roy Jones Jr. Stable, you know, stable fighters that he has over there. And he's one of them. So look him up. Luis Hernandez, man. Thanks for the gear. Much appreciated. Hernandez Boxing in the building. Always support, man. Yeah, I can't go too much in detail about why I'm not in Vegas, man. Believe me, if a donkey kicks, shoot, man. Damn. I'm looking at everything on there, but you know what? It doesn't. I've been all around the world. It's all good. This is a process right here. This is a process. Seriously, it really, one way or the other, you know, it was a fight that I couldn't attend. So it just comes down to there will be another fight out there, but I know it's gonna be absolutely on a whole nother level of entertainment for the ones who's out there paying all that money, enjoying themselves, you know, seeing a very solid fight this weekend, an epic, historic fight. It's just one on the grand stage like no other. You know, you rarely see heavyweights rematch. Who has Tyson Fury rematched? Who? You know what I'm saying? You rarely see the heavyweights in this era rematch. You know, Deontay Wilder rematched Bermane Stiverne. He rematched Luis Ortiz. He rematched Tyson Fury come February 22nd. We really don't see that. And speaking of one of Deontay Wilder's opponent, you have Gerald Washington fighting Charles Martin. That's one of Deontay Wilder's previous opponents in which he knocked out too. So, of course, we're looking to see how Charles Martin looked and how Gerald Washington looked. More so, this is a fight geared for Charles Martin to win, because he came off that loss to Andy Konoski. So he's trying to get back in there and work himself back up in the title contention picture, or at the top of some names where he can start getting paid again, because they gave him a nice solid paycheck to take that second round dive against Anthony Joshua. But I talked to Charles Martin last time I was out there. Cool cat. You know what I'm saying? But calling the spade for what it is, it just seemed like he didn't put forth much effort in that fight with Anthony Joshua. And I can say the same thing about Dominique Brazil, Dillian White, and everybody else that stepped in there during those early times of the rise of Anthony Joshua. The only one, I can't say that about Vladimir Klitschko, because he damn near knocked Joshua out. D-Hodge just say 6-0, Mike can crack. Records mean nothing. Well, he might can crack, but when you're going up against a fighter like Sebastian Fundora, it's a difference between cracking the Dorito or potato chip and cracking glass. And right now, if you're talking about Sebastian Fundora, I know, look, check this out, Hodges. I know his record is only 13-0. And you're trying to, and a lot of people may say, well, 6, that's half of 12. He got the half experience of Fundora. But listen, the skill level of these fighters on different planets. Now, if by chance this dude is a sleeper, we're talking about a dude that looked 4'8", and Fundora looking like he's close to 7 feet tall. This dude better know how to crack kneecaps first. You know what I'm saying? He better know how to crack kneecaps and then work himself up to the dang midsection and try to see if the chin is anywhere in sight. Because he's going to have a long night when he's stepping there against a tall, rangy striker like Fundora. And I'll be surprised if Daniel Lewis can make it a fight. Seriously. With just 6-0, yeah, he possibly can crack. But I'm not giving him that wager. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving it to him tonight. I'm not giving it to him tonight, man. I don't see him on the level of Fundora. I don't see him pulling off a like the top ranked card we just seen. No, the PBC. I think his name was Chris Collard. He had like a 3-2 record, something like that. And he went in there and stopped that undefeated fighter who was way younger than him. But Chris Collard, he had the experience. He had the sparring time. He had respect in the gym. And people was like, man, Collard's a tough fighter. And he went in there and stopped old boy. He took his oil away. And what was so effed up about that situation was the fighter was Mexican. And the referee was Mexican, and he didn't want to stop the fight because he called himself looking out for the Mexican fighter to come back. And he ended up dropping him, but he got blitzed after that. He took way too much punishment. And mark my words, I truly don't think that fighter would be the same for a good minute because he took too much damn punishment. And that referee should have been reprimanded for allowing him to take such brutish punishment on the end of a glove without any answer to the heat that he was receiving. He should have been freaking reprimanded. They should have damn took him back in the back and said, what were you thinking? You need to take some time off because you up here giving a young fighter time to recover when he's getting his ass beat. How'd you say it's all about who you beat? Mikey versus Easter. He was way taller than Mikey, but height means nothing. It's easier 2 punches. I agree in some circumstances, height may not mean too much. But when you talk about Bunny and Mikey Garcia, I think it's a bit it's not too much of a disparity when it came to Robert Easter. Robert Easter ain't taller than me. I just seen him in Nashville. Robert Easter looks tall on TV, and he ain't that much taller than Mikey Garcia. Now, he's taller than Mikey Garcia, of course, but he isn't as tall as Sebastian Fundora to Daniel Lewis. It's just, I know what the comparison is. I know what you're saying, but that analogy of fighters, that pair of fighters, when it comes to Easter and Garcia versus Fundora and Lewis, let me look this up right quick. I'm gonna look something up as far as the I just want to look up the height, the exact height of Sebastian Fundora and his opponent Daniel Lewis. So Sebastian is 6'5" and a half. 6'5" and a half. Let's see if Daniel Lewis even breaks 5'10". He's exactly 5'10". He's exactly 5'10". You're talking about 6'5" and a half to a 5'10" guy. You know, the good thing about this fight, when it comes down to it, you know, both of them are young. You know, this guy's Australian fighter, you know, aka Jeff Horn, when he was representing the Aussie fighter, age 26. So they're pretty young in the game. But when you look at his record, to be honest, he really haven't fought too much of anybody of any notoriety. It would be interesting. You know, Aussie fighters are very tough fighters. He has a KO percentage of 66.6. And Fundora's KO ratio is actually a little bit lower, 64. But, you know, him being a southpaw, being able to fight on the outside and inside, dude is a problem. Super welterweight division, 154. So he's a problem, man. I just don't know why he's stepping to a 6-0 fighter when he's had a 9-0 fighter, 11-6, 10-2, 10-6, 10-0, 17-0, 14-1, and now 6-0 fighter. We ain't talking about Mike Tyson now, but I get what you're saying there, Hodges. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I totally understand, man. Let's say once the smaller fighter takes away his extinction of punches, he got his chance. Tommy Hearns got beat by Sugar Ray. Yeah, Sugar Ray was a hell of a boxer, though. But you're right. You know, Tommy Hearns, a tall fighter, but Tommy Hearns was a beast too. Sugar Ray was a beast. This dude ain't Sugar Ray Leonard. He ain't Tommy Morrison, to be honest. He ain't Mike Tyson. He ain't Roberto Duran. Hell, we don't know what he is. He could be another Jeff Horn. We don't know. We know Jeff Horn did what he did, and you know he was lucky on that night with Pacquiao, win a controversial decision. But we'll see if he's legitimate. Like seriously, we'll see how much boxing skills he got. How to say, damn, that's heavyweight height. You know, 6'5" and a half. That's around just a little bit shorter than Charles Martin, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. Who else is some tall fighters? You know, even believe it or not, even Dillian White. You would be amazed at how tall he is. I'm like 6'3". Dillian White taller than me. That shit crazy. Andy Konoski is sitting around 6'4", I believe. Joshua versus Ruiz. AJ was way taller, but Ruiz didn't let him extend. And, you know, and that's true words. Ruiz was throwing a lot more punches, right? I'm just looking at what I already know about Sebastian Fundora. Like when you say Andy Ruiz doing that to Joshua, it didn't shock me that Joshua was being out-punched the way he was, because I always consider him to be robotic. So when you get a shorter fighter like Ruiz that's able to land a nice set of punches in return to counter everything Joshua had and back him up in the process, it's going to win. He's going to win. You know what I'm saying? He's going to degrade Anthony Joshua, who doesn't really have good cardio in that perspective. But when you talk about Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard, two of them was beasts. Like Sugar Ray was considered one of the best fundamentally sound boxers in the sport. I just can't compare, like this dude, Daniel Lewis, unless he comes out with something we ain't never seen. I don't see him handling that height very well. I don't see it. With Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua, I just knew he was a robot. Seriously. I just knew, Anthony Joshua going the distance with Joseph Parker and coming over here to Anthony Joshua. That's what robots do. They come forward, they go back. They come forward, they go back. And he was up there throwing minimal combinations, 1-2 punches, very minimal punch sets, right? He wasn't doing enough. He didn't have enough activity to demand Andy Ruiz respect. And Andy said, you know what? You're going to allow me to keep on pushing you back every time I counter you, and you're going to go straight line backwards on the back foot. I'm going to keep on doing it. If you're not going to exit out, if you're not going to pivot, if you're not going to slip any punches, I'm going to continue to box forward, throw 4 to 6 punch combinations, and I'm going to see what happens. And we all seen what happened. He made Anthony Joshua look really, really bad, man. The list goes on. The height means nothing. Whalen connected on Fury, and Fury was taller. I'm not saying what you're saying is not facts, bro. I'm just saying it works out with certain fighters in certain height. I'm not just saying Daniel Lewis is not going to do well because of his height. I'm talking about the strengths that Sebastian Fundora presents to any fighter. The same strengths he's presented to Donnie Marshall, the same that he presents Javante Clark. I'm looking at that. I added height in there because as a tall fighter, Sebastian Fundora, he boxes amazing. You know what I'm saying? He can bang on the inside. He's one of those anomalies when it comes to fighters being able to box on the inside. I'm not saying what you're saying. In certain fights, what you're saying is facts, but that isn't across the board. Height means something. It means something to the boxer and its opposition. Like if you get a tall fighter and you get a boxer that's shorter that really can box and get within the range and close distance and be active, height don't mean anything. It don't mean nothing. Seriously. I mean, there's plenty of fighters that's been tall, but then they get in the ring and they get that business. They get to work. But it's not across the board that height don't mean anything. You had some like the Klitschko brothers. They use their height pretty damn good. Lennox Lewis used his height pretty good. Evander Holyfield, he had to pretty much take some punches to get on the inside. He took some punches to get on the inside. Mike Tyson, we all know what he did. Mike Tyson went to the body, came up top. Also, Mike Tyson had what most people don't talk about. Outside of his power, he had pretty decent head movement. Sorry, I got to go check him out. Never heard of him. And fight short. Yeah, if a fighter fights short, I totally get what you're saying. A fighter fighting short. They usually say that about Robert Easter. Robert Easter is known to fight short. You know what I'm saying? But Sebastian Fundora is guilty of fighting short, but he does it in a way that he doesn't pay. Like you look at the fight between Robert Easter Jr. and Javier Fortuna, that wasn't a fight he's supposed to be fighting. Like Robert Easter loves to fight short when he's the taller opponent. Robert Easter loves that. He loves it. You know what I'm saying? He fought tall against Mikey Garcia, though. He sure did. He just didn't have an answer for the pressure that Mikey Garcia was giving him. But Robert Easter did change it up. The way he fought Javier Fortuna was much different than the way he fought Mikey Garcia. But that's a solid point, man. You know, I just don't agree it's across the board, but a percentage of that, yeah, you know, height don't mean anything according to the skill set of the fighter. But in a lot of factors, if you get a nice, solid, tall fighter who knows how to use the jab, can fight tall, uses range well, can fight on the inside, I mean, it works wonders, man. You know, it works out to their benefit. But for sure, I hear what you're saying, man. But it's going to be a solid fight card, real talk. It's not as heavy as I would like. I would have liked to seen some, you know, I would have liked to see more champions on this card. That's all. I'm not sure what the fee was or what was going on with it, but it would have been great to see some more champions defending their title on this card. You know, I understand Navarette is coming here for the WBO Super Bantamweight title. I get it, but when I say champions, I'm talking about like somebody who's at the top tier that's very noticeable, that bring butts to the seats besides the main event. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been good to see freaking Charlo and Tony Harrison be on a card like this because of the intensity and the beef that they had. You know, it would have been good to see them on here. It would have been good to see, and I'm making a generalization, right? But don't take it so deeply that I don't understand some of these people already had main events already. I'm just throwing out scenarios. You know, even Shakur Stevenson fighting on this card. You know what I'm saying? You know, Top Rank is helping promote this. You know what I'm saying? I like the cross threading. You know, I like what I'm seeing with they just putting all this other side of the street business away. That give us hope to potentially see Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. So I'm glad to see Top Rank in tandem with PBC to kind of get this fight up there for maximum monetary gain, maximum viewership. I like it. I like it, man. I hope it don't stop. Seriously, I hope it truly do not stop. Who else? You know, Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. There's no way they could have been on the undercard. That fight is going to be too big. Who else would have been nice? You know, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. This card would have been bananas, man. Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Emmanuel Navarrete, Leo Santisima, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. I mean, that would have been a volcano eruption in Vegas. It would have been too much to handle. Who else would have made this card good? I can't say Caleb Plant. You know, he just finished defeating Vincent Feigenboots, but very exciting fighter. I'm not sure people would have. I don't know. It depends on who he was fighting. If he would have been fighting David Benavidez, cool. It would have brought heat. People would have tuned in. Who else? Big name. I can't go there. Can't go Devin Haney. Can't go Ryan Garcia. None of that. Only thing I can say, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, man. No Canelo. Canelo is on. There's no way he's gonna be the co-main event on nothing. Who else? No Billy Joe Sanders nonsense. I think Jamal Charlo. You know, the Charlo brothers are still sitting out there. I can't say Demetrius Andrade. No. The Charlo brothers, yeah. The Charlo brothers would have made this card even more eventful because they are colorful twins. They're colorful fighters. You know what I'm saying? They can promote a freaking card. It would have been good to see them on there. Who else? Lightweight division? No. Super middle? No. Can't really go up to the heavyweight division. Because I can't say Dillian White, Dominique. Nah, I can't say none of them names. Can't put Anthony Joshua. There's no way he's going to be on a card with these two, regardless of whoever he's fighting. It really thins out, man, on who could have potentially been on this card. That's a banger, man. Can't say Sean Porter. Can't say Danny Garcia. Wow, that's wow. That thins out quick. I'm talking about the names is bringing, the butts to the table, man. Somebody who we really want to see throw down. I'm trying to think. Who? Welterweights. Let me look something up right quick. Because it's just not too many fighters out there that can bring the pain, man, to the table. Nobody want to see Usyk. Let's just say Luis Ortiz. All right. Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz. That would have been a good fight to have on this card. Luis Ortiz, Andy Ruiz. Absolutely. It would have been a good fight to have on this card. No Kubrat Pulev. No Alexander Povetkin. Adam Konoski. I would pay to see him fight. I mean, I think he's an entertaining fighter myself. A part of me say Adam Konoski can beat Alexander Usyk. But, Alexander Usyk just pulled out a Derek Chisora fight, and it's delayed, to, I think June or July? I'm not sure. Cruiserweight division, man. Those are one of those divisions that they just should do away with. Seriously. I'm not even going to show any freaking entertainment to that. No way. It's another exciting fighter y'all should keep a lookout for. Gilberto Ramirez is another tall, rangy striker, just like Sebastian Fundora. He has like 40-some bouts, man. I think he's 40-some and oh. I mean, Gilberto Ramirez was a former super middleweight champion. He's moved up to light heavyweight, and it's only a matter of time. Believe me, it's only a matter of time because the WBO title is vacant. We all know who went up there and did what he did and then vacated the title. So we're going to be seeing Gilberto Ramirez step in there and fight for the WBO title, and it shall be entertaining. Absolutely know that. It'll be good to see him against Arthur Beterbiev. We heard Demetrius Bivol want to fight Beterbiev for unification. But Gilberto Ramirez, man, he's number one ranked in the WBO. And I think, if I'm guessing right, Alida Alvarez, who just knocked out Michael Seals, Alida Alvarez may be stepping up again for a light heavyweight championship against Gilberto Ramirez. Put that on your freaking forecast. That's probably going to happen. We already seen Caleb Plant go in there and defeat Vegan Boots, right? He called out David Benavidez, the WBC super middleweight champion. That's a fight to look forward to in the near future. I'm gonna tell you, Caleb Plant, man. If you're a true boxing fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at punch stats and how a fighter performed from the opening bell to the final close, whether the fight went the distance or not, that's one of the best fights I ever seen Caleb Plant box. very in control of what he's doing, very smart fighter, slick. You can tell Caleb Plant been in the gym with some good name. I'm talking about some very reputable sparring partners. You can tell the way he boxes. He goes in there and starts the round early. He was pressing the gas on Fegan Boots early rounds. And then you can see when he just take a little pause, but yet it wasn't like he just got lazy. He kept it interesting, landed some shots. When he put his combination together, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see him land, see a fighter go in there and throw 4 to 8 punch combinations. Seriously. The hard to say Manny versus Bud is perfect. They both top rank. Feed Manny to Bud, and PBC has no choice but to feed Bud a fight. Man, that's a solid point. Check the box on that. It would be great to see if they will feed, because if Terrence Crawford is able to be the WBA and the WBO championship, right? And then you got Errol Spence, the WC and IBF. Man, I'm telling you, that is another epic fight that we may see in the future. Because I don't see Manny Pacquiao defeating Bud Crawford. Absolutely not. I don't give a damn what y'all saw with freaking Keith Thurman. Manny Pacquiao is not defeating Bud Crawford. And if they was to make that fight happen, it would be one of Terrence Crawford's biggest paydays, I believe. And he would be unified champion. So just like Hodges said, if you put that puzzle piece together, that will make for an epic showdown for an undisputed championship in the welterweight division, and get that money right. That bag will be absolutely the way we want it to be. I'm serious. The fight, the energy, everything. Errol Spence, WBC, IBF, Terrence Crawford, WBA, WBO, hell yeah. Sir Ken, what's good? What's good? World Combat Sports salute. Salute to the wrenches. Salute to the chats. Smash the like button. I appreciate that, Ken. Salute to you, man. Thanks. Hodges said he better stop getting hit like that. David gonna KO him. He needs more defense. Are you talking about Caleb Plant? Hey, Caleb Plant, that's something he's gonna have to figure out. If you look at his fight against Mike Hill, the last opponent he fought before Fegan Boots, he was a bulky guy, sort of like Fegan Boots, but he handled him fairly well. He did get hit, though. I put some pictures up that I took. It was some times where I was shaking my head like, how can you get hit with that? But I don't know, man. Sometimes fighters get comfortable. Just like I seen Gervonta Davis and Yuriorkis Gamboa. I seen Gervonta Davis leaning over to the left shoulder of Gamboa. So I just thought he was trying to slip and come up with the right uppercut. But when Gamboa stepped back to create space and he hit Gervonta Davis with a 3-point combination, once again, it was a shake your head moment. Like, how did that happen? Like Gervonta had pretty good defense, but when he was just complacent just that little bit, he was leaning over to his right off the left shoulder of Gamboa, and Gamboa stepped back and shot the uppercut. People was like, oh shit, what's going on here? Like, is the tide turning? What we looking at, Can't say D-Hard just salute. D-Hard said salute. I appreciate that. It's been an action-packed. I'm telling you, it's been a freaking full week, man. I ain't gonna lie, it was full speed over there in Nashville. So, like I said, I got a chance to see Caleb Plant fight up close and personal because I went out there because I know the bout. When I spoke to him at the MGM Grand on Wilder Ortiz fight card, he wasn't fighting on the card, but he was out there with his father, of course. And he said he wanted David Benavidez. I asked him, who do you want next? He said David Benavidez. But he fought the German fighter, Vincent Fegan Boots. And he ended up stopping him. He didn't come out for the 10th round. which was very smart on his corner's part because Feigenbus was taking punishment. But hey, he's a tough fighter. You know, German fighters, Russian fighters, you know, they can take some punishment. Mexican fighters, you know, they take punishment. They have this cloth that they cut from. They will not be freaking labeled as a quitter. You know what I'm saying? Outside of your boy Duran, they don't want to be labeled as a fighter that freaking waved the towel, man, and said, no mas, I quit, I'm done. No, they don't want that. But I'm glad they stopped that fight because we're talking about the championship rounds coming up, and Caleb Plant was turning the wheels on him. He was firing on all cylinders, man. And I think the stoppage was damn good. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they did it. Hard to say, shaking my head, Gamboa lasted with one leg 12 rounds. He did. Hey, we can say the same thing about freaking Jose Benavidez when he fought Terrence Bud Crawford. Hey, it's somewhat similar there, Hodges. You gotta be honest. It's somewhat similar. You know, when you look at the fact that Benavidez went to the 12th round before he was stopped with an uppercut from Terrence Crawford, you gotta look at him having one leg, really. Like, dude was shot multiple times and had one leg, man. Seriously. It was crazy to see him be in there that long with Terrence Crawford, who is a switch hitter. He can box from each stance. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not sure I'm going to give Gamboa the absolute validation that his foot was jacked up as much as he said it was. Seriously, I have to. Me looking at the fight and the way he was moving, it can debunk him having a blown out Achilles tendon. It's no way that he would be able to move the way he was doing for that second round until he was stopped in the 12th round if his Achilles tendon was that severe. I believe a lot of it was, he has an injury, he was knocked out, and they need something to fall back on. They need that crutch. And, you know, give it up for Gamboa. He took an extreme amount of punishment, y'all. Gamboa took an extreme amount of punishment for Gervonta Davis. But I have to give it up to him. He's a very tough fighter. Seriously. I can't take nothing away from Gamboa. He went in there and boxed. He was serious the whole week. But I just don't see him having a severed, you know what I'm saying? A detached Achilles tendon. It might have been torn a little bit, but if they would have stopped that fight in the second round, it would have been chaos in the A. It would have been chaos, believe me. Golden Mass, salute. Thanks for dropping in, man. Say too tough for their own good sometimes. A leg is different than an ankle. He moved with an ankle, facts. Ken said, we all know styles make fights. I judge from a guy's last performance. I saw the rail get inside until David cut him and changed the fight. Plant is a lot better and gives David problems early. They showed him in the hospital after the fight. Yeah, they did show him in the hospital. He had indeed. I'm not saying he didn't have an injury. I'm saying from what I was looking at up close to the ring, the way Gamboa was moving against Gervonta, who was still bringing the heat, it just didn't seem like, you know, we're talking about a guy who wasn't getting cortisone shots. He was still pivoting, cutting corners. I mean, Gamboa was doing pretty damn decent. You know, to be injured since the second round, I don't think it was extremely torn. But I mean, like severed, but I do believe it was ruptured to that point. And, you know, I'm not a physician. I can't sit up here and give you a cereal box freaking diagnosis of what happened. I can just go off what I seen that night and the way he was fighting Gervonta Davis. It still seemed like he had mobility, that he was still sturdy enough to do what he did. He got knocked out because Davis was persistent in getting the knockout. There's no way I can say Gamboa was knocked out because he couldn't move. I can't give him that Jose Benavidez, response. Jose Benavidez got knocked out. Gamboa got knocked out. Both of them had problems, but for Jose Benavidez, his leg may have forced him to become idle, stagnant, or whatever the case may be. And Crawford stepped in with that right uppercut, and it was a wrap. Good points, though. Good points. And Ken said Plant is a lot better fighter. I do believe wholeheartedly that Caleb Plant is a better fighter than Darrell. All right, check this out. You can't take nothing from Darrell. He was tough. He seemed like he wanted to continue going once he got cut. All right, that was a better showing than what we've seen from Darrell at times. But J Love is no Caleb Plant. Darrell, you know what I'm saying? Like, Caleb Plant is a better boxer than Darrell, in my opinion. So, of course, the fight is going to be good if him and David Benavidez ever lock up and sign that contract. It's going to be a good fight, man. To be honest, I can't say who will win that fight. David Benavidez can fight. Caleb Plant can fight. Both of them can box thoroughly, technically sound. I'm pretty sure, once I go back and review some reels, I will have to kind of be like, let me try to see who has the advantages in this area or what have you. But that fight's nowhere close to being made. Wilder almost KO'd Fury with a broken hand. We don't learn about injuries. To after the fight, and the winner was the one with the injury. Yeah, that's crazy. The caveat of Wilder injury, not being able to train at maximum effort for a fight of that magnitude, because Fury, in my opinion, Fury's supposed to be one of the his top tier fights on his ledger. That's supposed to be one of his best fights of his freaking career. Going in there against Tyson Fury. Why? Because he's a former unified champion. He went in there and beat Klitschko. He's supposed to be a more superior boxer to a less than fundamentally sound boxer, in which the critics has always made a point. They felt that Tyson Fury is going to go in there and have an easy day with Deontay Wilder, and it didn't work that way. And another thing about Deontay Wilder, he has a good chin. You know what I'm saying? He has a chin. We've seen that with Luis Ortiz. We've seen that with Arthur Spilka. We've seen that with fighters, even Romain Stavern. We've seen him take punishment. We've seen him get hit by Tyson Fury. He has a pretty respectable chin, man. Seriously. Hey, is Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury on The Masked Singer? They are. I was saying that looked like Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury is on The Masked Singer. Yep, it sure is. They walked out. So I like the promotion aspect of what they're doing out here with the fighters, man. Like, they brought them out to The Masked Singer. And as Tyson Fury was walking out, of course, you can always tell Tyson Fury when he walks. So they brought them out, subjected them to a new type of audience that probably wasn't paying attention to the big fight. But I like that, man. I like them jumping outside the bounds, man. You know what I'm saying? Giving them a broader scope to the optics of the audience. It's only so many people can get in that fight. I know they want to sell it out, but what they're trying to do is bring more exposure to getting the PPV, to bind the fight. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only so many people that can get in that arena, the Garden Arena. That's fact, period. What's going on, Chris Ray? What's good? Salute, man. Thanks for dropping in. Enjoy your week, man. But yeah, man, it's gonna be something. You know, another fight that's coming up. That's going to be on a huge proportion. You know, when it comes to the freaking lightweight division, that's going to be Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. Period. It's going to be a good fight, man. It's going to be a very good fight because one of these fighters have the opportunity to unify their first division, undisputed. That's Vasily Lomachenko. And then you have Teofimo Lopez, who was able to meet a goal and earn the championship in his 15th fight. But then again, you're talking about being in a division where you earn the championship, right? And you have the opportunity to unify the division. So if by chance he's able to get that WBA, WBO title, then decision comes into play. Well, Dad, do we stick around and try to get that WBC off Luke Campbell or whoever gonna get it, Devin Haney, whoever, you know what I'm saying? Or do he vacate and move up to the 140-pound division, which right now they really need some excitement up there in the junior welterweight division. Hands down, they do. They do. And I know Regis is gonna get upset, man. You know, that's probably why Regis didn't give me an interview, man, because I'm not saying everything I say is correct, but I always felt I'll say Regis take too much punishment. And boxers, believe it or not, they sensitive, some of them, man. I say Regis Prograis takes too much punishment. If y'all are not seeing that and you just want to give him this New Orleans love and say he's the best since, you know, Rocky Marciano, Charles Monzoon, you know, if you want to give him all that love, then cool. But I'm telling you what I'm seeing. And I always felt that Regis Prograis was a bit slow and he take too much punishment. He don't have head movement. You know, when I heard him saying he was going to move up to freaking welterweight and take on Terrence Crawford, I was like, man, you're going to get your ass beat. You want to go in there with a switch hitter like Terrence Crawford? With hardly any head movement? Come on, man. Did you not see what happened at 140? You need to work on defense. You need to work on lateral movement. I don't know what he's thinking. Hey, Raise the Dead. Hey, much appreciated. Hey, for anyone who don't think I appreciate my supporters, Raise the Dead Incorporated, you will always be a special supporter in my eyes. Because guess what? He donated $1.99. He's the first person to donate to my channel. The first person. And I don't even put it out there all the time at all. But shout out to Raise the Dead, man. I gotta show this man some love, man. I gotta show this supporter some love, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say thank you. You know, Raise the Dead is the first person to donate to my channel in the super chat. Imagine that. I appreciate the small shit. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to this media game. Because you ask people for freaking donations and they think you're just trying to get on. I'm like, huh? I'm out here actually grinding, man. Salute to you, Raise the Dead. Appreciate it, man. I don't even put it out there all the time, but I'm keeping it 100. You know, he's the first person. He or she is the first person to donate to the channel, regardless of what the amount is, man. Thank you. You know what? I gotta sit up here and I gotta take a screenshot right quick. so I can always remember the first person who freaking donated to the channel. That's real talk on Fight Week. For those of you that choose to donate to the channel, please do so at the bottom. That's totally up to you. But I totally appreciate the subscriber that did it or the supporter who did it. And big salute to you. Hope you have a wonderful year. To boxing, with Regis Prograis, man, he said he's supposed to be moving up to 147. We'll see what happens if that's the case. But when he was actually talking, and I seen him in there with Velasco, I said, Regis get hit too much. You know what I'm saying? What's gonna happen when he go in there and face Josh? And then what I said happened. Like, it wasn't nothing against Regis, man. It wasn't nothing against him. I'm just saying what the TV and what the lens is telling me, and everybody else that assess fights, that you get hit too much. You need to work on your head movement, defense, period. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Joshua Greer Jr. too, man. He has another fight coming up, I believe in April, against Jason Maloney, I believe. I want to get that right. My man Joshua Greer Jr., man, he's one of the first fighters that shout out World Combat Sports, man. I never told him to do it. For real. He always got my support, man. Joshua Greer Jr., yeah, Jason Maloney. He's facing him 4/25/2020 at Mandalay Bay Resort Casino, Las Vegas. Joshua Greer Jr. is 22-1-1. If you didn't know, he's just coming off that fight with Antonio Nieves. Unanimous decision win, of course. So he's facing a 20-1 fighter in Jason Maloney. That's gonna be a good fight. Chi-Town's own, you know what I'm saying? No struggle, no progress. Salute to his good friend Ed Bad Boy Brown, who lost his life early, back in the day. He was a boxer, up and coming boxer too. And one thing about Joshua Greer Jr., he's back to the gym that he started from in Chicago after going out there to Pullman's gym in California. You know how it is, man. Like you boxers switch gyms all the time. So you can't be mad when they left one situation and they receive enough instruction to kind of make a decision. You know what I'm saying? A gameful decision on what was working and what was not working. And whatever happened, his team, his management, whoever, I can't imagine what the conversations was like, but they decided to move back, after, I believe, 2 fights out there. They moved back to his original gym in Chi-Town. So shout out to Joshua Greer Jr., man, Mr. Don't Blink, Mr. ESPN, all that. Cool dude, man, very professional. I interviewed him several times. My last interview, he gave me an interview when I was coming back from a fight card in Florida. I did a phone interview on the side of the highway. Shit like that, man, I appreciate. Seriously, because these fighters, all of them ain't approachable like that. But, he gave me an interview. I was still driving home from a fight card, man. So I recorded it, and then I put it up on my YouTube with a thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? But, shout out to Don't Blink. Real talk. Appreciate it, man. Hard to say, wish I had money. I love your show. I definitely donate. Man, I never said it was all about the money. I'm just saying the first person to donate was, Raise the Dead Incorporated. Very intriguing name, you know what I'm saying? Shit. But it's all good, man. I don't donate. I've donated the channels. You know what I'm saying? I've donated to plenty of channels. I've donated channels, and it was for the purpose of the content. It wasn't if I liked the person that was doing the media. like the content. You know what I'm saying? I guess you kind of, should have some type of, when it comes to the content and the person, you got to have some type of a favor to say, okay, I like how they deliver the content and I like what the content is about. It's just me. I got so much going on. It's just me doing this. So Ken say, first time on your live. Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm from Flint, home of the Rails and the Guote. So salute to Flint, Michigan, man. All these people that be on the all these fighters coming out of Flint, man. I see them in public all the time. They always together. Real talk. They always together. Even the Guote, man. Shout out to the Guote, Clarissa Shields. I tell people all the time, like, a lot of people don't want to call her that, but they negate the fact that Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest of all time, right? And he always said, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. So now you have a different era with social media, and you have such finicky fight fans that don't want to give you credit for shit. You have the media that don't want to give you credit for shit. So for her to be doing what she's doing, regardless of how people perceive her, boxing ain't about morals and principles. So if she want to continue to say she the GOAT and she's out here 3-division champion within 10 fights, then she has a freaking valid argument to say that. Now, the argument can be, for some people, Amanda Serrano with 7 divisions or history. Amanda Serrano is in elite class right up underneath Manny Pacquiao. And then you have Clarissa Shields, who is on a class of her own with 3 divisions in just 10 fights. No one has did it, male or female. You know what I'm saying? That's big. No one has did it, male or female. But when it comes to Amanda Serrano, Manny Pacquiao has did it. He's 8 division. But right now, Clarissa is standing in a class of her own, and she's getting it done with such a few amount of fights, and she's still young in the game. I have no idea what she's gonna do on the back end of her career. Like, what is she gonna do heading into her 30s? What is she gonna do in her early 30s? She's accomplished so much early on that we may not see her in boxing that long. Seriously, if Clarissa Shields has basically did what she's did, and she's still as young as she is, what's there left to do except earn another chip here and there or whatever, But really, I know she's talking about crossing over to mixed martial arts. I get it. But you really have to stay in the game at least 3 to 4 years in her position to be a legitimate mixed martial arts and know how to work off the ground. You have to put in the mat time. And she's talking about going in there against someone like the likes of Amanda Nunes, who has an extremely thorough mixed martial arts pedigree. She's going to need some years on the mat. I know she put out a video recently about her throwing kicks for the first time, but with her boxing career being Hall of Fame right now, the only thing left is for her to cross thread. We seen the Heather Hardys, we seen the Amanda Serranos. I'm gonna be honest with you. Seeing them cross over the mixed martial arts, I wasn't impressed. What I would say about Heather Hardy, she's goddamn tough. Heather Hardy's extremely tough. She took a shin to the damn nose, shattered it. She still kept fighting. Amanda Serrano, she's boring. Amanda Serrano is boring to me. I understand she's a very tough athlete, very competitive in nature. She's in the standard of one of the greatest to do it, of course, 7 divisions. But her mixed martial arts game, she just So I'm telling people, it's not impossible for Clarissa Shields to go to mixed martial arts. I'm just saying she needs to really start working what she's doing behind the scenes. She's probably starting off with her kicks. And the good thing about her, She's a world-class boxer. So what does she need to work on? Take down the fence, setting up, different strikes, changing levels, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, all that. She already have the hands. But believe me, when you're talking about a boxer and you're talking about going in there fighting mixed martial artists, just ask Holly Holmes, an 8-time champion, how much work you have to put into it to make the transition. Holly Holm did fairly well. She worked on her kicks. She did fairly well, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Her movement was thorough. But Holly Holmes, once again, she really didn't work on her jiu-jitsu game. She was able to go in there and defeat Ronda Rousey because of her foot movement and her kicks. Because Ronda Rousey, she wasn't a fighter to throw a huge amount of kicks. So when Holly Holmes is using her movement, when Ronda Rousey finally was able to lock up in the clinch, and Holly Holm had pretty good, solid takedown defense, strong base, that was it. Once Ronda Rousey couldn't do the hip throw or the wizard and do her judo throw, and Holly Holm stuffed it, it was a wrap for Ronda Rousey. It was a wrap. That set up the kick, heard all around the world, when she stunned Ronda Rousey with that punch, and then from the blind side, she hit her with that left high kick. It was a wrap. Done. Clarissa Shields have to work on that. In boxing, if Clarissa Shields is say, I'm done with boxing, I'm done right now, tomorrow, she's a Hall of Famer, period. You cannot deny that just because she had 3 divisions. Amanda Serrano, Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? D Hard just said, I only like the personality of the person. Good content, keep working at work. So thanks, WCS. I appreciate it, raising dig, no doubt, man. Salute. Thanks for dropping in. I say I like your personality. That's what when I'm LDBC, I love their personality. Don't matter the content. Yeah, I know you support the LDBC hard. I tune in to certain voices of the LDBC, but I myself, I do what I want to do. Like when I said I won't be ever with the LDBC, that's real talk. I like doing what I want to do. I come on when I want to come on. I put my content out. Nothing against the Line Den boxing community. They've been around for a minute and they putting in work. But for me, I don't roll in a pack. I never have, never will. I just do what I got to do. Do I learn from those collective media entities that's been out here for a while? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I'd be lying if I told you I didn't. I tune into other people's content. The Boxing Voice, you know what I'm saying? Some of the LDBC outlets. Who else out there? Champside. It's a lot of, but also I listen to mixed martial arts media outlets too. So I have double the payload when it comes to learning about what's going on in mixed martial arts and boxing. I will never be strictly about boxing. I will always be boxing MMA. I don't care if my channel don't grow to freaking 100,000. I'll deprive myself if I'm not studying 2 combat sports genres that I like a lot. But I appreciate it there, Hodges. Thanks for dropping in. Real talk, man. I appreciate the support. Hodges says Shields need to stay in boxing and clean up everything. Why UFC? The why UFC is, her good friend Heather Hardy cross threads over to UFC. And also being that Clarissa Shields has a name, right? Let's be honest. Shields has a name in boxing. She will absolutely, if she ever was to step in the UFC ring, cage, whatever you want to call it, and fight somebody of notoriety, she would bring somebody she would bring butts to the seats. The reason why I'm saying that, they will come to see her get knocked out or subbed. Seriously. And this is why I say that. Whenever a boxer that's on a tier of a Clarissa Shields comes over like a James Toney did, and she fights somebody that's a hometown when it comes to mixed martial arts, a hometown favorite, a champion, whatever you want to call it over there. If they're in the mixed martial arts family, they're going to treat that boxer as if they're the biggest enemy ever. I don't care. You can say what you want to say. I'm talking about those of you that's tuned in and think otherwise. If they have a boxer that's crossing over, it's almost like they're bringing the coronavirus. It's almost like you stole from them. How dare you come over here to mixed martial arts? You stay in boxing. You don't rate. You haven't put in the work. You just coming over here to get a check. And that's how they treat it. But it's a dilemma, people. It's a dilemma that we have. Carissa Shields has fought high as 168, right? So just put in this perspective. Amanda Nunes is the bantamweight and featherweight champion. She's the champ right now in the women's division. The highest she has fought is 145. What weight will Carissa Shields come in at if she's fighting in mixed martial arts or the UFC? Because the women's division only goes up to featherweight. It's no higher division. Now, if you're fighting in PFL, they have a division they just opened up for what's her name? Harris. I forgot the Olympian, the judo Olympian. They just opened up a 155-pound division for her. Don't expect that division to cross over to the UFC because there's not enough bodies in there to make the division flourish. Like Christine Cyborg is the only one they made the 145 featherweight division for. Now that she's gone, it's hard for them to get competitors or women that size to go in there and compete. You're getting the same recycled opponents come up to fight in the featherweight division. Now, from the 135 and the 125 flyweight and then the 115 strawweight, yeah, very exciting. But the women's division, they've came a long way since the 135-pound division. What division will Carissa Shields fight in if she crosses over to mixed martial arts? What will it be? Can she be as active as she is with her movement and being able to compete in rounds which are 5 minutes long? I tried to explain this to someone the weekend I was going out there. I was talking to an individual who actually, approached me and said he watched my content. I was surprised, really. And he was talking mixed martial arts, right? And I was trying to explain to him the problem, what we're gonna run into. Carissa Shields fighting 2-minute rounds in a boxing ring is easy work. Easy. But for you to step in a mixed martial arts domain and fight 3 rounds, 5 minutes straight, you really have to put your mind on a whole nother platform of making adjustments. You have to tell yourself, okay, what is this about? What am I going to do? If I'm going to stay on the feet, should I go in and change levels? And if I change levels, you got to make sure, your opponent, what are their strong points? Do they have good takedown defense? What belt are they in jiu-jitsu? You just don't go pick up jiu-jitsu belts like Taekwondo, y'all. You don't do that. It doesn't work like that. Seriously, it takes a while to pick up belts in BJJ, especially if the professor is legitimate, not someone off the back of an Apple Jacks box. Seriously, I'm being honest. So Carissa Shields will have to basically jump outside the gym, boxing gym, put in some mat time, serious mat time with some pretty thorough professors that's out there and in a legitimate school, which she's an elite boxer. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be people offering their help because of who she is. And she got the money to pay for it. She's going to have to be able to understand. And look, I'm going to be honest. I'm gonna be honest. There is a stigma, or it's almost like a rash, y'all, of black athletes wanting to compete in jiu-jitsu. Now, on the lower level, on the regional level, you see kids all the time, but you don't see a lot of black kids in jiu-jitsu. I know because my son was in jiu-jitsu in California. He took taekwondo, boxing, jiu-jitsu. You don't see a lot of black athletes taking up jiu-jitsu. It requires you to be on the mat an awful long time and really go through the process of remediating and knowing what the hell you working for. You know what I'm saying? Joint manipulations, transitions, shrimping, freaking hand, wrist control, demarcation lines, 4 points of contact, 2 points of contact, hip escapes, man, all that shit. It's just so much to learn. But you see more black athletes taking up wrestling than you would jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu requires you to be on top and on the bottom. You have to go through the remediation process to know what the hell you're doing. Like with wrestling, you can get some cockstrong athletes to go into wrestling, and they know how to fight. They know how to fight for a takedown. They have strength, but in jiu-jitsu, strength is different. You know what I'm saying? This grip strength is different type of strength you use. You can go in there all bulked up all you want and get subbed out in under a minute. I've seen it. It takes a different type of mastery being on the mat. You think you have cardio and you think it'll be nice and easy for you to just lay on the mat with a gi while somebody's trying to work for a position and you have to defend. It's a beast, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, it's a beast. Hardy said, I love MMA too. That's why I mess with you. Hardy, she's food for Nunez. Pick a weaker person first and see how well she do. I'm gonna get back to that point. You said pick a weaker person. I'm gonna tell you what's up about the weaker person when it deals with Carissa Shields, though. Now, if Nunez come to boxing, is way better. Why do you think that is? Now, I said this before on the live, right? If Amanda Nunez cross over to boxing, it's 2 minutes for women. Hands down, point blank, period. Okay? What is it for men? What is the time limit per round for men? We know what that is, right? It's not 2 minutes. So if you add an additional minute, just imagine Amanda Nunez is fighting in a sport where the minutes per round is transparent from men to women, regardless who it is. It's 5 minutes per round from the female fighters to the male fighters. So Amanda Nunez is used to being elbowed in the face, kicked in the face. She's used to being on the mat. She's used to practicing freaking takedown defense and her wrestling. She's used to freaking high-level Muay Thai, all that, right? For 5 minutes per round. Her crossing over, hear me out. Hear me out. Amanda Nunez crossing over the boxing. I don't know why people up here saying she'll get knocked out. She'll get knocked out in 2 rounds. How? If Amanda Nunez is going from 4-ounce gloves to what, 10-ounce? Whatever. We don't know what weight class she'll compete at, because the highest she competed at 145. Check this out. If Amanda Nunez has been a part of elbows, kicks, and all that to the face, and she hangs up the 4 ounces for a little bit and goes to heavier gloves, for 2 minutes, you don't think she'll know how to use her ring generalship against Carissa Shields, who has only 2 knockouts? Carissa Shields isn't a knockout artist. Carissa Shields is a world-class boxer, a 2-time Olympian, 3-division champion, undisputed at 160. For Amanda Nunez to go over to boxing for 2-minute rounds, she would do just fine. I'm not saying she can't get stopped, but I'm just telling you in her mixed martial arts career, Amanda Nunes has only lost once. I'm talking about in her UFC. In her UFC, she's only lost once. And she's currently the champ right now. So for her to go over here and say, oh, you want me to take off 4-ounce gloves and put on heavier gloves and go in here for 2-minute rounds? Cool. Mixed martial artists, in my opinion, move different. Just like boxers move different. But mixed martial art, they have a whole nother set of variables to deal with when it comes to freaking avoiding or executing. Offense, defense. They have a whole different mindset. We're talking about assessing your opponent's strengths and then seeing how you're supposed to handle it. You know what I'm saying? How low you squat. You know what I'm saying? How not to overly commit on your shots, else you might get taken down. Is your opponent a good wrestler? Is your opponent highly skilled in Muay Thai? Do they have a thorough, legitimate, respectable ground game? You know what I'm saying? That's what mixed martial artists think of. But if you telling her to come over here and just stand on the feet, she just have to worry about the speed of Clarissa Shields. I don't think cardio is going to be an issue because once again, she's used to going 5-minute rounds, man. She's used to going 5 minutes round, 5 minutes per round, y'all. That's all I'm saying. I know Shields say she'll knock her out in 2 rounds or whatever. I don't think so. I don't think so. Nope. If Clarissa Shields was Ann Wolf, I would say, that might be a little bit of merit, but she's not. She only has 2 knockouts. That's all I'm saying. But if the fight happened, people will go see it. But I'm just letting you know it's already happened. Like, just look at Amanda Nunes, 7-division champion. She crossed over the mixed martial arts and barely anybody said anything about her fights. Nothing. Like, look, Amanda Nunes went over the mixed martial arts and didn't nobody even blink an eye like, whatever. Amanda Nunes, 7-division boxing champ. Okay. Because she wasn't that good at mixed martial arts. Now, Holly Holmes is a different freaking story because Holly Holmes made her name in mixed martial arts. I mean, to a whole different level. Like, she was head kicking females. She really had a dynamic with her coach, Winkle John. She had a really good dynamic with putting her punches to her fighting style with kicks and everything. Now, her ground game is okay. But what she did work on was her kicks and her takedown defense. Holly Holm has pretty solid hips for a female. You know what I'm saying? Her base is pretty solid. Her base is pretty solid. Clarissa Shields is going to have to work on some wrestling. She's going to have to work on putting on a gi and grinding it out body to body, chest to chest, and working on her submission game. She has to. You know why? Because if anybody step in there with Clarissa Shields and know that she is like James Toney was when he came over here against Randy Couture, they're going to shoot in for a takedown, or they're going to kick her legs, and she's going to go to the ground, and then it's going to be a wrap. You know, you're in a whole nother, I call it, it's a whole different world once you get on the ground with these high-level jiu-jitsu practitioners. Whole nother world of vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? You just feel so lost if you don't know what's going on the mat. And I'm pretty sure Clarissa Shields will somehow, some way get with the best trainers and make that shit happen. That's all. Somehow, some way, she'll be able to make it happen. But she has a long ways to go, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Whoever's tuned in, you know, fighters can get upset about, you know, whatever when it comes for them not doing something. When it comes to boxing, transition over to mixed martial arts, it is a whole nother freaking language Seriously, it's just something else to decipher, a whole nother level. When a mixed martial artist transfer over to boxing, yes, a lot they got to learn, but boxing is included into mixed martial arts. Make no mistake about it. But if you talk about kicks, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, that's not included in boxing. It's not. It's not included in boxing. No matter how you want to look at it, it's not. Now Nunez come to boxing is way better. Golden mask. Why do you think that is? Facts. But MMA fighters train with boxing gloves too. Absolutely. Look, listen. MMA fighters train with boxing gloves, but it's a difference to train with them and fighting with them with 4-ounce gloves on. Because look, you're training with them, but yet you have lighter gloves on. That's 4 ounces. You have to know how to pick and select your punches when you're in there with whoever you're in there with. They may train with them, but if you blocking kicks, that's barely any cushion. You know what I'm saying? Amanda Nunez will come over to the boxing ring and say, "Oh man, I love this. I can just use high guard and protect myself." Amanda Nunez has been kicked to the body. She's been punched to the body. So you're talking about certain parts of her body is nerve. What they call it? Certain parts of these fighters' bodies are the nerves are dead. Like they do it on purpose. Like it's body hardening. We call it in the military body hardening. But they've been kicked to the body. Their body's been taking shin to bone, shin to rib kicks. Boxers have cushion, on their gloves. And MMA fighters, they're taking bone to bone contact sometimes. Yeah, in practice, they have shin guards. But these fighters have been fighting a long time where they're taking bone to bone contact to their ribs, their shins, all of that. So if Carissa Shields ever want to go in there and take a kick from a Muay Thai practitioner on the lowest level, it's going to hurt until she deadens those nerves in her shins to check a kick. Because look at it this way. Carissa Shields can check a kick, but it might be to her detriment if she haven't did it before. These fighters in mixed martial arts, they don't even feel it. You know what I'm saying? That shit don't bother them. They'll check a kick, keep on going. Now, do every mixed martial artist, does that mean they can take a kick from every mixed martial art practitioner they go? No. Every practitioner is different. But I'm saying for a person like Shields who hasn't even worked on deadening her nerves yet, in her shins, doing body hardening with her ribs, it's a process, man. It's a process for real. Now, back to what Harger said, she's food for Nunez. Pick a weaker person. The one thing about a weaker person, some weaker persons are still on a higher level than Carissa Shields would be with her lack of experience from mixed martial arts. So you can pick a weak mixed martial artist who may have extreme amount of mat time. Let's just use wrestling, for instance. If she goes in there and pick a weak opponent that has a 1-0 record. Okay, Carissa Shields is going to be in mixed martial arts at an 0-0 record. She goes in here and step in the cage with a person that's been training strictly wrestling takedown and a little bit of jiu-jitsu. All that fighter's going to do is fake like she's going to go in for a punch and try to push Carissa up against the cage. That's another facet to training. Carissa have to learn how to work off the cage because a wrestler that's in there with Carissa Shields will push her up against the cage, drain her energy, work for a takedown. It's so many variables to what can transpire with her not being thoroughly trained in mixed martial arts. It's just so much, man. They use that cage for a reason. When they clinch up over unders, and they work for position off the cage, that's draining. That's tough. Real talk. It's tough, man. That weak opponent still may be a higher level than Carissa Shields. Of course, Carissa is going to have the hands. But one thing about a mixed martial artist, they train to duck under and change levels from a good boxer or a puncher. They train that. So in the moment of Carissa Shields throwing a punch, her opponent can actually shoot for the ankles, shoot for a single leg, double leg, totally commit to it. Because once again, Carissa Shields is a world-class boxer, but she is not a knockout artist. And you think mixed martial artists not going to look at that where she doesn't have that much power? I know she's dropping the weight of the gloves to 4 ounces. And an MMA, mixed martial artists be like, we don't care. We just shoot like we're gonna, throw punch combinations, change levels, go for a single or double. Once they get them hands locked around Shields, then we're gonna see how much wrestling Shields got. We're gonna see what she's able to do off her back. Can she defend a takedown? Or whatever the case. It's so many scenarios, man. Hard to say. Jones Cormier don't need jiu-jitsu. Let's dichotomize Jones and Cormier. Jones and Cormier both has wrestling, okay? Both has a balance of wrestling skills. Now, of course, in my opinion, when you're talking about straight wrestling, I got to go with DC. But how it all kind of dilutes itself is in mixed martial arts. The process of 5-minute rounds, the whole plan of attack. Are you going to use punches? Are you going to go for takedowns? What is the strategy that you have for your opposition? Now, both of them have pretty solid jiu-jitsu games. John Jones, I would give him the edge in jiu-jitsu. I would give Daniel Cormier the edge in wrestling. But the good thing that negates all of that is takedown defense, wrestling. And both of those guys that you just mentioned, Jones and Cormier, they have good takedown defense because they can wrestle. It boils down to who has better hands. So once you start softening somebody up with punches, and they get fatigued, what happened? It sets them up for the high kick John Jones landed on DC. It sets them up for the takedown John Jones was able to get on DC. And DC is the better wrestler. He's the more short, compact fighter. Damn good question. I mean, good input, man. Don't get me started cross-threading on mixed martial arts. As long as you don't get taken down. Yep. Brock Lesnar went from WWE heavyweight champ to UFC champ. Anything can happen. Speaking of Brock Lesnar coming over, Brock Lesnar had been training legitimate mixed martial arts. You're talking about Brock Lesnar being a wrestling entertainer, which isn't considered one of the combat sports. But while he was in wrestling entertainment, he was actually training mixed martial arts. Brock come from a wrestling background. So when you take a dude that big with hands as big as Brock Lesnar and put him in a multifaceted training regime, what does he have to learn? He's already a legitimate wrestler. You teach him boxing. You teach him a little bit of the ground game. And check this out, Hodges. Even with Brock Lesnar being the caliber wrestler that he was in the WWE, okay, and legitimate wrestling coming up, if you take all that, you still see what happened when he stepped in there with Frank Mir. You still see how goofy he was with believing that once he took Frank Mir to the ground, he can just step up out away from the top position and walk and reset again as if it's wrestling. And what happened? Frank Mir stole the leg. He basically kept it. He ended up putting him in a leg lock. That's because Brock Lesnar was goofy about just walking out of the freaking guard of Frank Mir, who is a high-level BJJ practitioner. That's how naive Brock Lesnar was. He was able to pick up the UFC championship. Absolutely. Who did he beat? Then you look at Frank Mir subbing Brock Lesnar out. He had a whole different game plan when he returned to fight Frank Mir a second time. The second time wasn't even close. But the first time, it taught Brock Lesnar a valuable game that he needed to work on other aspects to his mixed martial arts prowess. Hard to say all he needs is wrestling and good takedown defense. Facts, power help. That was the first fight he learned. Yeah. It's just the point how goofy it was. Like, it might have been his first fight, but he had to know Frank Mir was a high-level BJJ practitioner. That's why Brock Lesnar chose to stand up. He didn't want to be on the ground with Frank Mir. That's like a cobra to a garden snake. And when Brock Lesnar turned around and thought it was wrestling, and he was just going to turn and slide his leg out, Frank Mir like, no. Give me that ankle. Give me that leg. And Frank Mir has been known to be enamored with breaking bones. Believe me when I tell you, Hodges, Frank Mir is freaking, he has this infatuation with breaking bones. And he tried to break Brock Lesnar's leg. Guarantee it. Like he broke Antonio Nogueira. He snapped his arm. Nogueira would not tap. And freaking Frank Mir said, okay, you don't want to tap? You want to be all tough over here and show the Brazilian fans that you ain't going to tap? I'm going to break it. And he snapped it. He snapped it, man. Frank Mir loved breaking bones in jiu-jitsu. Seriously. He loved it. But yeah, like you said, Brock Lesnar came over here. He was able to pick up the UFC title. He had the right opponent. And he put in a good performance that night. So I give it up to Brock Lesnar. One thing about Brock, he's a big dude. He can wrestle. And believe it or not, to be in wrestling entertainment the way he is, you gotta be agile. You gotta be athletic. And that's what it was, man. He didn't keep it that long. You know what I'm saying? Also, he popped for peds. You know, after Mark Hunt. So you gotta weigh on the side of caution. Like, was he absolutely clean when he was in the UFC? We don't know. You know, it's hard to determine that. But he did become champion, like you said. Can't take that away. He became champion. Yeah, he won a couple of times, but I'm saying like he didn't keep the belt that long. Like seriously, to be honest, when Brock Lesnar came over there and he won the title, I looked at his wrestling pedigree and how big his hands was and his toughness, right? And I thought he was going to reign as champion for quite some time. Really, I thought Brock Lesnar was going to do. He's going to be serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw him in there competing with wrestlers like Cain Velasquez that really had that wrestling pedigree. I was like, okay, he's going to do fairly well. But there's levels to wrestling too. There's level to wrestling, especially when it deals with punches, especially when it deals with takedown, 5-minute rounds, you know, championship bouts in mixed martial arts of 5-minute rounds. That's a beast, y'all. That's a beast. Seriously. But man, I can talk mixed martial arts and boxing forever and a day. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the damn info though, but I've been on here like 2 hours already. I'm about to bounce. It's been a pleasure. For everyone who turned in, salute to you. It's fight week. I will be giving live commentary for the fight. You know that. Pass the word. I hope y'all tune in on fight night. I will be giving live commentary for the fights this coming weekend. And I would definitely be covering the fight, period, all the way up to fight night. Like this Wednesday, you know, the weigh-ins will be Friday, and then Saturday, of course, it's the fight. So I'll be on here all week. I appreciate everybody who dropped in. As always, salute World Combat Sports. Subscribe to the channel and follow me on all social media platforms. You know what it is. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.